Congratulations to you for watching the horror movie before you go to bed. The story takes place in an abandoned mine in the United States. The boy Aiden is playing alone at the entrance of the mine. Suddenly, a terrible roar came from nearby. The boy was scared to death. He hurriedly ran back to his father's car and told the truth about what he heard just now. It's just that his father's thoughts at this time. It's all in the work of the mine. He didn't take his son's words for granted. He told Aiden to stay in the car and don't run around. I'll be done soon. But this mine has been abandoned for many years. Then what is this father doing? He just put on the Feng Du mask, then lit a burning stick, walked into the deepest part of the mine. It turns out that this is where he and his friends were poisoned. I thought this place was enough to hide. But when they finished making the drugs and were about to leave, I heard a strange sound from the mine next door. In order to figure out what was going on, the two were bold enough to walk towards the source of the sound. However, they did not know the belt hanging on the head at this time. It is the abacus of the abacus here, used to suppress the evil spirit. The two's intrusion not only awakened the sleeping monster, he came into close contact with the other party without any preparation. After a while of screaming, there was no movement in the mine. Aiden saw that his father had not come out for a while, and he felt uneasy. But after hesitating, he still walked in. At this time, a few Mars that floated in the mine also left a suspense for the next story. 3 weeks later, the heroine Kelly just returned to her hometown. Today is her first class as a teacher. There is a very quiet student named Lucas in the class. She has been absent-minded during class. I don't know what she's talking about. Because of his lonely personality, he is often bullied by other classmates. But in the face of these, Lucas always chooses to be silent. After school this day, he did not go home directly, but came to the lake nearby. Here he found a stinky worm that was being eaten. Just see Lucas pick up a stone. The next second he killed him very quickly. After Lucas returned home, he carefully came to the bedroom door. In addition to the double lock on the door, there is also a cloth bag that appeared in the mine before. As for what secrets are hidden behind the door, the film did not show directly, but left a suspense again. In the middle of the night, Lucas was lying on the bed, looking at his family uniform over and over again. Then he took out an ugly owl and used a small knife to cut off the owl's head. The next picture comes to the lady Kelly. The old house is full of depression. Kelly's childhood was not happy. Her father died of mental illness. It caused a lot of harm to Kelly during her childhood. If it weren't for the brother Paul, who was the police chief, to invite her back to the town, maybe Kelly is still floating in her hometown. Time comes to the second day of class. Kelly told her classmates to share their fairy tale stories or horror prophecies, because she knew that Lucas liked to draw, so let her tell the story in the painting. The classmates all thought she didn't dare to speak, but Lucas still stood up bravely. He said there were 3 bears in his story. They are Bear Dad and his 2 children, Bear Big and Bear 2. Originally, a family of 3 lived happily in the cave. But one day, Bear Dad and Bear 2 suddenly got sick. Their internal organs are rotten and black. Not only are they bleeding, but also very rough. Only Xiangda, who is not sick, is left alone to find food for them. After listening to the story, Kelly realized that this boy is likely to be the same as his childhood self, is suffering from the damage from the family. After school, the school dad found that his school bag was put into the animal's body. Turned around and saw that Lucas was quietly staring at them. He thought it was Lucas's prank, so he pressed him on the door. Fortunately, Kelly appeared in time to avoid further damage from him. He first let the school doctor check Lucas's wounds, then investigated his family situation. The boy's mother has long passed away. Only he and his father and brother Aiden live together. In order to understand Lucas's situation, he quickly dialed the phone of the other party's home. It's just that this phone call has been heard by no one for a long time. It seems that the person locked in the room is Lucas's sick father. Because he was really worried, when Lucas came home, Kelly followed him quietly. He noticed that Lucas was wandering around the door of the ice cream shop, so he invited this introverted boy to eat ice cream together. In order to further strengthen the relationship, Kelly said that she had a similar experience with Lucas, and her mother died early, and her father left her with a lot of harm. The conversation between the two was smooth, but when the topic turned to Lucas's father and his brother, the boy suddenly began to avoid talking, and even didn't finish eating ice cream, and was about to leave. On the way home, Lucas was worried about dinner and suddenly found a few crows hovering in the sky, following the direction of the crows. It turns out that an animal's talisman was found in the muddy ground not far away. At the same time, Kelly, who was worried, also successfully found Lucas's accommodation. He knocked on the door a few times, but did not get any response. The screaming and loud knocking made Kelly afraid to stay. He made a very rational choice to leave. It's quite rare to be able to keep your IQ online in a horror movie. Not long after, Lucas returned home. He cut the talisman he picked up into small pieces with a knife. The door of the door. Brother Aiden is completely different from his father. He seems to have a sense of reason, so he doesn't like raw meat. It's because of Lucas's snack attack. Lucas knows that his father will become very weak after eating, so he told his brother to come to see him later. Then Lucas quickly left the room, and his hands were shaking to lock the door. He leaned against the corridor at the door and continued to draw on his hand. This as a knock on the door suddenly came. My brother is hungry again. Lucas understands in his heart, they can never eat enough of this disease. He had no choice but to wear headphones. Lucas went to the woods early in the morning and set up some traps for hunting. Suddenly, a footstep came from a distance, and he secretly hid behind the tree to observe. It turned out that the hunter in the town had found a male corpse. The wound on the corpse is shocking. It looks like it must have been bitten by some kind of beast. The hunter immediately reported this discovery to the police, and the person responsible for this case was the girl's brother, Paul. According to the face of the other party, it is not difficult to see that the victim was the colleague who was poisoned with Lucas's father at the beginning of the film. The doctor looked at the corpse's condition and was very puzzled, because he has never seen such a strange wound in his life for many years. On the surface, the corpse looks like a dead beast, but it's full of human fingerprints. It's really hard to explain. At the same time, Kelly was also in Lucas's bookshelf, found the words he usually draws. He handed the painting to the principal and said he was sure that Lucas was being abused by his family. Hope the principal can arrange a visit as soon as possible. After reading these strange words, the principal is like Kelly, ready to attack Lucas's family, but in the face of a door without a lock, the principal seemed to have lost some of his IQ. He walked into the room very timidly, and a stinking smell of stink got into his nose. But he still didn't back down until he found the door with a lock. The principal soon heard the boys crying, and he couldn't care less about his safety. He opened the door and walked into it. The bloodstains on the wall and the abnormal environment because of the cold and damp didn't persuade the principal at all. Soon he found Lucas's brother Aiden. Looking at the poor eyes of the other party, the principal didn't notice the danger behind it at all. The female principal had no time to respond, and was eaten by the monster in front of her eyes. After tasting the human flesh for the first time, Lucas's father also came to the final transformation. Only when his chest turned red, his body began to twist unnaturally, until he spit out a few rough corners in his mouth. The next day, the police officer Paul was still investigating the case of the body in the forest. According to the remains of mineral dust on the body, they quickly found this poison mine. In the mine, they found leather pockets on the top of the head and a large number of corners on the ground. But the old hunter said that according to his experience of hunting for many years, these deer are not natural products, but related to a local legend. Because there are no more valuable clues, the few people can only leave the mine for the time being. Then the picture was given to Lucas, who had just finished school. He went home alone like usual, but was blocked in the middle by the school bully who often bullied him. Lucas didn't want to get entangled with him too much, so he turned around and prepared to go another way, but a deer monster suddenly appeared on the tree next to him. At this time, Lucas still did not know that the monster just now was his father after evolution. When he saw the car of the principal at the door of the house, a bad feeling suddenly came. Lucas immediately ran into the room to check, but found that his father had already escaped out of the house with his brother. At the same time, the fresh blood in the corridor also showed that the principal had been eaten by his father. In order to help the family get rid of suspicion, he first ran to the yard and covered the principal's car with cloth. Then he went back to the corridor and carefully washed the blood on the floor. A 7 or 8-year-old boy can do this. It seems that his experience is far beyond the imagination of ordinary people, because I haven't seen the principal in the last few days. Kelly finally realized that the principal might be killed. He quickly asked Paul to bring another police officer to Lucas's house for investigation, but they knocked on the door for half a day, but they didn't get a response. Because there is no search warrant, plus his identity as a police officer, Paul can only leave for the time being, in the police station the day after tomorrow. The school's mother also came here to call the police. Said his son disappeared from yesterday after school, then she disappeared. Combined with the disappearance of the principal, it's a bit of a coincidence. But Paul was stubborn. These two missing cases are not too related. Kelly, who heard this, was very angry. I think I should go to Lucas's house to find out. After all, the principal is missing after visiting home, because Paul's search warrant has not been issued for a long time. So if he goes ahead, it is likely that he will be pinned on the hat of breaking into the house. Plus his identity as a police officer, it's just the best. There is no way. Kelly can only come to Lucas's house again, but he just came to the door. He found a car in the yard when he opened the cloth on it. It was the car of the missing principal after finding this key clue. Kelly called the police immediately, called Paul and another policeman after a search. They quickly found the late principal and the death of the principal. It's almost the same as the corpse found in the forest. It seems that the murderer may be the same person, and there is a more special corpse. The interior of this corpse is completely empty. There's only a burnt skin. It looks like there's something coming out of his body. Fortunately, according to the fingerprints on the skin, the police successfully confirmed his identity as Lucas's father, who had never shown up. And Kelly downstairs is finally waiting for Lucas, who is about to go home, looking at the other side's scary expression. Kelly holds him in one hand and his eyes are full of pain. He didn't let Lucas go home, but took him to the hospital after a comprehensive examination. The doctor said Lucas's nerves were very fragile and must have been hit hard, and his health was very poor. With serious malnutrition, he needs to be hospitalized for a period of time to make the final health assessment. At this time, Lucas on the bed finally fell asleep in a comfortable sleep. He dreamed of what he had said to him before his father lost his mind. But as time passed, Lucas still couldn't help but open the door. Fortunately, his father still had a sense of reason at this time. After seeing that his son Aiden was also infected by the virus in the mine, he locked himself up with him. On the other side, Paul and Kelly found the hunter, who was the Aboriginal. After seeing Lucas's hand painting and the leather bag used to seal it, the hunter told them a story that has been circulating in the local for hundreds of years. But the old man continued to tell them that the only weakness of the deer is that he will become very weak after he is full, and only by using this gap will he have a chance to dig out the deer's heart and kill it completely. Soon it was late at night, and the laughing body was finally discovered by the police, but its death was more terrible than the previous ones. The boy's internal organs were all bitten, and the body was torn into two halves. This is obviously not something that humans can do. Looking at this inexplicable scene in front of his eyes, Kelly, who was walking with him, finally believed in the existence of the deer demon. But as a policeman, Paul still insisted on the principle of scientific investigation. After Lucas was stable, Kelly took him home from the hospital, and Paul was looking for the mayor. I'm going to discuss with him how to deal with these cases. Before leaving, he arranged his colleagues at the door of the house to help him protect Kelly and the boy. In the conversation between the two, Kelly told him about the tragic death of Lucas's father. I didn't expect the boy to say that his father was not dead, but that he had transformed into a stronger being. Then Lucas also took out a few new words and said that his father would come to pick him up tonight. After reuniting with his family, he no longer had to be bullied by others. Suddenly, a whistling sound came from near the house. In order to clear up the situation, the police officer in charge of guarding used a camera to report. Then he went straight to the source of the sound, but when he pushed open the wooden door of the room, but found that the one hiding inside was just a little boy who looked harmless. A little boy with no harm. The police just wanted to take him out. The police didn't even have time to call for help. I got the lunch on the spot. And Paul, according to the information in the talk show, he immediately rushed back to the shed. Lucas in the room took advantage of Kelly's inattention, suddenly ran out to reunite with his family. At this time, Paul walked into the shed. I also saw the boy Aiden, but the next second was directly hit by the monster. A good one didn't open 2 degrees. It's the first time I've ever seen my son in a cage. Fortunately, Paul was in a bulletproof suit. He wasn't hurt by the crash just now. But before he could breathe, in the process of pulling the other party, the Mars in the mine appeared again. It seems that these Mars are the key ways to infect the virus. After the monster left, Kelly ran to the scene to help Paul check the injuries. Although Paul was seriously injured, fortunately, he was still sober. In the process of wrapping Paul, Kelly said she was going to save Lucas. According to the content of the child's hand painting, he must have run to the mine. In the mine, because he was really worried about Kelly, Paul insisted on going with him, and soon they drove to the mine. Kelly called the ambulance for Paul first, and then took a handgun and walked in. When he walked to the deepest part of the mine, he found 2 boys hiding in the corner, and the monster that could never be fed was next to the body of the animal. But it was also the flashlight that made the monster find him right away, and Kelly reacted quickly and shot him with a gun. I didn't expect the fatal bullet to hit the monster as if it were a brain tumor. Fortunately, Kelly's IQ was stable, and he ignited the burning stick in his hand and scared the monster back and forth, because the old hunter once said that the monster was the weakest during the time after eating. Finally stabbed a knife into his heart. The monster who used to be best at sneak attacks, he died in the hands of his own son. But it's really a father and son laugh. At this time, Kelly remembered the old hunter's advice: must destroy the heart. To completely eliminate the monster, he immediately took the knife and dug out the other person's whole heart. I thought the nightmare about the monster, it's finally over. But then they heard behind, suddenly there was a whisper like a deer. I can only see the red light in front of Aiden's chest. It seems that a newborn deer demon is waking up, facing this poor boy. Kelly is a little distressed, but he had to do something. But he was just about to do it. Lucas blocked it in front of his brother. Although he is not old, but I actually understand everything in my heart, even if Aiden's situation can't be restored. He doesn't want to give up this last family member, but with Kelly's advice, Lucas still gave way. Finally, Kelly was heartbroken. The knife pierced Aiden's heart. I'm so sorry. However, is this really over? After leaving the mine, Kelly looked at the weak Lucas. Decided to adopt this poor boy. He covered his body and wiped off the black liquid on his mouth. He thought it was just dust in the mine. But the large amount of black blood that Paul spilled shows that the story of the deer demon has just begun. In fact, the monster in the movie is called Wendigo. It is not created by the vacuum, but borrowed from the ancient legend of North America. The legend of Wendigo is that people of the same kind know each other. He is greedy and self-sacrificing. This film cleverly connects this kind of monster with the poison, the deterioration of the boy's father's body. It's like the whole process of human beings being poisoned. Although the father in the video showed to the audience, even if you lock yourself up, you have to protect your son's appearance. But in fact, he didn't look that tall. Because the son Aiden is clearly at the age of school, but the father never let him step into the school, in order to use his son as a cover to assist him in the transportation of drugs. And the eldest son can go to school normally. It's just to avoid the suspicion of the residents of the town. So the movie is not just a simple narrative. Overall, it is still recommended.